Welcome back to the Normal Sports Show. Got a fun one today. Jason Page, as always. How we doing, Jason?
Just have a great team. Everyone believes in me. Feeling good.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Sean Martin, been trying to have you on for a while. I think it would have been easier to get President Trump on than you. But thanks for joining.
I'm glad my agent can make this work. Definitely excited to be here.
How's the season started at PGA Tour HQ? It's been slow start with Hawaii, but it seems like this is my favorite time of the year for PGA Tour golf. Does it feel that way at the PGA Tour?
I think so. I mean, Q1's always huge, right? It's the big kickoff. The last 2 years I went to the Century. I'm not going to lie, it was a nice trip to make. Sad to not make it this year. But I think, too, even the option, on the East Coast, you have the option of watching a little night golf, which is nice. Some outdoor night golf, I should say. There's always the indoor option as well. But yeah, I think everyone's excited. There's been a little bit of maybe an off season. Haven't seen the stars for a bit, especially from the fall, them not playing. Some great historic venues, scenic venues. I think excitement always looms large this time of year.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I want to jump into it. I've got 5 questions for you, which given our proclivity to chat could take 3 hours. It won't take that long. But my first question for you is just, what are you reading right now? This is a question that we probably usually ask each other when we're in person, haven't seen each other in a while. So I'm just curious about what you're diving into and what you're reading.
Man, I'm in that spot right now, and it always happens this time of year where I'm reading 5 books, and I hate that. I want to do one at a time. But then I just get overwhelmed with options, some early releases that are coming out. But reading 1920.
That's a name drop.
Just call advanced paper books. It's fine.
Yeah.
Paperbacks.
Yeah.
I'm reading 1929 by Andrew Ross Sorkin. I wasn't going to read it because I felt like it was too long of a book, and I didn't think I needed 500 pages on the Great Depression. Just trying to balance kids and work and everything else. But then saw him speak locally, great storyteller. Really, the guy is in journalism kind of at the apex of what you want to do. He's created his own brand. He's at New York Times with his own newsletter. He's at CNBC. He's writing books. It's pretty amazing. So he gave a great talk on his book and it convinced me to buy it. Not me personally, but just hearing him.
I heard an interview with Andrew Ross Sorkin the other day, and the title of the interview was The Unbelievable Productivity of Andrew Ross Sorkin or something like that. And as somebody who struggles to get 2 newsletters out a week, I don't understand, even after he described what he does, I don't understand it.
So I don't know how many kids he has. That would be a big wild card. I'm curious there.
Yeah, but yes, for sure. Having, multiple kids is a different ballgame, but even to have the energy to do everything that he does is extraordinary.
Yeah. He and I do wake up about the same time. Unfortunately, he gets a lot more done than I do. So 1929 just finished Jeff Shackelford's History of Cypress Point.
Okay.
Just to do a little education before a little golf trip later this year that I'm very excited about.
Wow.
Yeah. So
advanced copies of books, going to Cyprus. What else do we not know?
And then reading Herman Bavinck's Wonderful Works of God for a little theology side as well. So got on good old Dutch reformers.
Yeah, that's a dense book. It is. Cool though. Yeah,
it takes me a long time to read it. My goal this year, so after saying about the Sorkin book, my goal this year was to read longer books and denser books, and just pick them off 10 pages at a time, in the morning. It kind of would help me. I think one of my things that I struggle with, and you and I talk about this, is just stacking wins or building the wall one brick at a time. So I felt like if I took maybe a longer book and read it 10 pages a day, I'd get that discipline of hey, let's just make slow and steady progress towards a goal.
I did see one of the advanced copies that she got was the Rory book. Have you dived into that one yet?
I did. I've started reading it. I was starting to read it, and then a bunch of other books just got piled on the list. But I'm gonna read it. I've just started it. It's good. I mean, Alan's a very talented writer. I remember talking to him at Pebble last year when he told me he was working on it, and I was obviously curious, what's your Rory access? He talks about it there. And I think that's just an interesting relationship. I don't think that's any secret there that Alan and Rory, it's an interesting relationship. But
that's for people that don't know that Sean is referencing. Basically, the intro to the book is Shipnuck talking to Rory about hey, can we can we sit down for this book? Can I interview you? Can I talk to you? And Rory's basically like, screw you. He doesn't say that. Go away. I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to participate in your book. And that's how the book starts. And so you're like, oh, that's okay. That's interesting. I think I'm about halfway through. It's a classic like Shipnuck, what he did with Phil, going through all the history, all the big events, hitting the high notes, all that stuff. There's some really good early stuff in there. I think as I've gotten into the later stuff, you're kind of like, man, you can see that you don't have access to Rory here and you need it, or it would really like beef it up and benefit the actual book a lot. So I'm curious to see how it's received. I think for just my buddy or like the average fan, I think it's good. I think people will like it a lot.
100% agree there. And I think a lot of that early stuff is probably the benefit of, Rory coming up at a time where Alan's at Sports Illustrated and maybe the best known, most prominent golf writer in the business. So there's obvious access with Rory. He's flying in a private jet with him in China to go to an exhibition with Tiger and talks about a conversation there. There's this little tidbit that he must have gotten from Rory's parents about when colleges would call to recruit Rory. Rory would yell down from the bedroom, like, just tell them I'm going to East Tennessee State, because at the time he was. So there is that little stuff there that I'm sure he gathered while he was probably working on profiles for Sports Illustrated, and the access that, being at a place like SI back in 2010 afforded you. I don't know if it's getting you the same access today, but I mean, definitely, I think, Alan's place among golf writers coincided with Rory's rise, and so I think he definitely had some really good access to that time.
There's some good Walker Cup stuff, some good
always love the Walker Cup section.
Yeah, for sure. There's some good Wally Uline, like early when Rory signed with Titleist early in his career, some Chubby Chandler, like that. I think that so far that section of it is has been really good and really interesting. Because you don't do profiles as much as obviously as you used to, do you miss doing that?
I think so. I think my personality, I like digging deep on stuff. I think the projects I'm working on now and the ways I'm involved in my current role, I think I still get to dig deep occasionally. But yeah, I mean, I always loved the idea of let's sink our teeth into something, spend some time, go through old newspaper articles. Like, I love the research aspect of it. I love like interviewing the people around someone, which I think too, as the years have gone on, the people around a tour player are less open to talking. It used to be that you maybe at a major could go outside the ropes and you're talking to, wives, parents, coaches, and they would just talk as they were walking, watching their player contend for a major. And I think luckily some people that I've known for a really long time, I can still do that with, but like a newcomer that maybe you don't have that relationship with, the family's probably a little more guarded, but it just doesn't work that way. The business has changed, obviously, and 3,000 word profiles aren't necessarily, breaking the servers. But that being said, like, there's new ways to tell stories, right? So it's still, the word storytelling gets thrown around a lot, but like, it still is storytelling. People still like stories. And honestly, like, people like short stories. So like a 500 word like anecdote is a short story. It doesn't have the glory of a 3,000 word, like, full feature, but just telling good stories can come in a lot of forms. Obviously, we're doing it right now. Hopefully, we're trying to, and then through social media, even I think too, like, you can look at vertical video as potential brain rot, or you can look at it as another avenue for telling stories or getting sweet swing tips, or like, learning new kettlebell exercises. Let's say.
Sweet swing tips.
One of my favorite memes is if I spend as much time watching kettlebell videos on Instagram as I spent lifting kettlebells, I'd be as jacked as this guy. And shows some, just monster.
That's pretty good. You have done such a good job, I think, of doing what you just said, which is like bringing storytelling to different mediums. So, back in your Golf Week days, or like when you were younger in the profession, it was in the magazine or it was on the website or whatever. And now it's pgatrue.com. And I know you've gotten into the documentary side and
a filmmaker now.
Okay. Sorry. Do we have to put up a Chiron of Emmy award-winning Sean Martin?
Not just nominated. Didn't close the deal.
Okay. But you have actually done, I think, a really good job of bringing storytelling to like Twitter or like your dispatches from Starbucks, which is like kind of a jokey, like tongue-in-cheek thing, but it's actually like, I think people like actually look forward to them. So how do you think about putting different stories into different mediums as your career has kind of evolved?
If I'm honest too, so I'm not going to the Masters this year. Scheduling didn't work out. Staffing didn't work out with my new role. And I think the thing that I'm going to miss most is the Washington Road Starbucks and like filing stuff from there. That and overdosing on just a super high amount of like highly processed white bread that's just going to spike my glycemic index.
You always talk about the white bread consumption when we're at these events.
It's just crush. Like, I mean, egg salad and pimento cheese sandwiches are just...
We'll be at the U.S. Open, and he's like, "Yeah, just I've had like 27 pieces of white."
But also,
bread.
like, I eat no white
like,
bread.
That's what you're thinking about.
I eat no white bread the rest of the year, but Augusta, like, keep Wonder Bread in business. No, but so, anyways, yeah, like, too. I think now X, the Everything app, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, like that's my writing outlet probably. That's my personal blog, I guess, if you will. Though really, we talk about Andrew Ross Sorkin and productivity and kids and whatnot. Like, I haven't had time to bang off some long tweets, and I haven't had like not the inspiration, but I think too, like the way I go at things, like I really thrive on like being able to talk to players and like pick their brain on stuff and then report back on that. I'm not a pontificator per se. So I do it less, but I still like dabbling in the space, if you will. But yeah, I don't know. I'm probably too hesitant to share thoughts. Like I only want to share thoughts if I really think like I have something of value to add. Like I don't want to just share my thoughts if it's like the same as everyone else.
Where did that curiosity for like what's going on in a player's brain come from? Like, did you have that as a kid? Like, were you curious about not golfers necessarily, but just other people?
I got really like, so I got really into like honestly, it was Moneyball. And I think just always being kind of a contrarian for better or worse in some ways, like probably a bit of a pot stirrer. People have called me that here at work where I just kind of, stir the pot, I guess, ask questions maybe. But like, I loved Moneyball, like that idea of this conventionally held wisdom was wrong and we have the facts to back it up. And now the culture war that ensues and, that just really intrigued me. I'd kind of fallen out of love with baseball and Moneyball really got me back into it. And I thought that was really interesting. And then that followed up with like behavioral psychology. So like getting into like Gladwell when he first came out and like Daniel Kahneman and like those kinds of things. Like it was just super interesting, like how irrational our brains are and like how irrational we are as human beings. And now having like, I think before nobody wanted to admit that. So like you wanted to believe the eye test was correct or your preconceived notions were correct. And then like all this data that showed how wrong we were. And that was like super interesting.
This is where I struggle with strokes gained, right? Which is
just a hard right turn.
Well, this doesn't need to be a strokes gained conversation. Jason's going to exit the chat.
Here we go again.
Not be involved. But we love to do this thing where we're like, well, I saw Scottie miss 10 footer, so he must be bad at making 10 footers, right? And it's like, we actually have all the data on what players do well and don't do well. Why are we so, it's very much the Moneyball thing of like, why are we so afraid of like leaning on this? And I get it. Like I lean on it too much. Other people lean on it. Like we run to it too much and use it as the only tool instead of a tool. But this is my whole deal with strokes gained of like, well, I saw Scottie hit 2 bad shots on 6 and 9, so he must have had like a bad ball strike. And it's like, no, he gained 7 strokes from tee to green.
Yeah,
like we literally have those numbers.
Yeah, I think there are like strokes gained isn't perfect. It's better than what we had before, but it's still not perfect. So I don't mind questioning it at times. Like even for example, like when you combine like off the tee and approach, like Spieth's 61 at Phoenix, right? He gained some ungodly amount of like strokes gained, like approach the green, right? Like, but it's also because he was driving into such horrendous spots. Now, granted, he should get credit for the iron shots he hit out of the desert and probably a cactus and maybe a bush of some sort or something. But like the number is so high because he drove it so badly. So overall, like his ball striking was not maybe as amazing as the numbers would say because he drove it so poorly. Or like that's kind of the amazing thing about Scottie, honestly, is he drives it so good and his approach numbers are so good of like, and then like you look at too, like, I remember this with Cameron Champ. I think Gotterup's the case now. Maybe Thor Bjornsson drives the ball amazing and they lose strokes on their approach. Everyone's like, oh, bad iron player. And it's like, yes, but his birdie putts might still be shorter than the guy who's higher than him in strokes gained approach because like, all right, Gotterup drives it 340 down the middle of the fairway and from 120 hits it to 25 feet and strokes gained is like, bleh. And then another guy hits it, let's say, 280 and then he hits a 700 to 40 feet and strokes gained is like, hey, a little better than average. That's positive. And so you look at the approach numbers like, man, this guy, player B, so much better ball striker than Gotterup. And you're like, yeah, but actually Gotterup after 2 shots is in a better spot than the other guy. Now he got the credit for it in the off the tee numbers. And so yes, he's a below average compared to a tour player from 120 yards, let's say, but like he has still gotten the ball closer to the hole after 2 shots. And so that's better than the other guy. So like,
yeah, but it tells a story.
Yeah.
Like what you just described tells a story. And we just sometimes rely on like, well, I saw him on 11 and didn't look that good. So,
but we like stories. I don't know. Like,
yeah, but like, I guess my point is like, there's stories to be told via statistics also.
100%. Totally.
And I think sometimes we don't need to like relitigate this, but did you see what John Peterson said?
I mean, John Peterson says a lot. And I say that as someone who really likes John Peterson.
He said that if Gotterup gets better from 80 to 120, he'll be at Scottie's level.
I mean, yeah, the guy, like, he drives it, at least right now, he's driving at 330 fairly straight. He also has a fairway finder shot that helps and probably still goes 310 and puts him in an amazing position. I don't see why not. Yeah, I think, yeah. I'm a big
Scottie's
guy.
level, though?
Yeah, I mean, that's okay.
I also wonder with Scottie and Chris Gotterup, they both have like pretty simple preparations for like how they improve. So like, how is he gonna get to that level if like he keeps it pretty simple off like on the range?
Yeah, I mean, I think the wedge game, there's room for improvement, I think. And the cool thing too, when you look at his like transcript from Sony, is that like he saw the things he needed to improve and he did it. Like he's like, hey, we looked at the numbers, we looked at the data, which is useful for sure. And we saw that I was like below average on, I think, like short irons and putting. And so we hammered that stuff in the off season and like it's paid off. And so,
which is sweet.
I think a guy like Gotterup, I feel like who's as raw as he is, and maybe raw is not the right answer, but who does it in really his own way. Like, I think there's room for improvement of just refining. I think like a guy like that who, like he started at Rutgers and he wasn't like a highly touted recruit. And like, even he said it, like, I viewed myself as a work in progress and I still do, even as the number 5 player in the world. Like, this is a guy who I think like Scottie is just going to find new ways to improve, like develop new shots. I think too, like we get so obsessed about fundamentals. I think because in social media, like you'll have debates over like breaking down swings. Like right now, I love this, like there's like this war among teachers, like backlash to the flatteners, like the people who preach flattening it in the backswing. They're like, look at Scottie, he's so steep. Look at Chris. Like, and I'm not going to weigh in, but I just love watching it from afar.
Pot stir.
Kind of, yeah. We talk about fundamentals and like improving fundamentals, but like Scottie talks about it, like just learning new shots and like adding shots to the arsenal, which I think just comes from like a lot of experimentation, a lot of time on the range of just honing that like new shot. So like, hey, you look at like Tiger. Like, so Tiger, when he started working with Butch as an amateur, like he was a high speed player, full bore, went at everything. Back in the days of Baladas, like he had this big problem where he would just go full bore with his wedges. They'd suck back, 30 feet when they hit the green. And so like it was impossible to get to back pins. And so like, yeah, they changed his fundamentals some, but one of the big things that happened before he won the 95 US Amateur, because he had struggled with this at Augusta in 95, when he played his first Masters, is they learned the off-speed shot, where like he's just taking speed off a wedge to take the spin off so he can get to back pins. And 95 US Amateur final hole, he's got like this perfect yardage for a dead-handed, knockdown 8-iron. He pulls it off, hits to a foot, smokes Buddy Marucci, or beats him 2 up, I think. But he ends it with that shot they've been working on. And like you read like the book Tiger did with Lauren Rubinstein, and like he talked about is this huge shot in his development, because like he had finally learned to like master this knockdown. And so like, yes, guys change fundamentals and they get better through that too. But I think because maybe when we get so data oriented, like we're looking at like just where the ball ends up versus how it gets there maybe. And that causes us to underappreciate like how it got there. And like another Twitter debate is like, hey, should you only shape it one way? Or should you shape it both ways? Or should you try to only hit one stock shot or a variety of shots? And like, there's a benefit to like adding ways to do it, which I think is just an underrated underrated form of player development, I guess.
Did you ever think Scottie would be this? I mean, you've covered him for a long time. But did you think he would be 21's 4 majors at 29 years old ever?
No.
Did anyone ever think that?
No, because I think Scottie's career is interesting in that, like, he won, I think it was like 90 times as a junior in Texas. He won a U.S. Junior. He won, like, Sage Valley, which was, like, the Masters of junior golf. But then, like, he didn't play that great in college. Like, he was on the same college team as Bo Hostler, and Bo Hostler was the National Player of the Year. When Scottie was picked for the Walker Cup, he wasn't like an automatic selection. He was low AM that year in the U.S. Open at Erin Hills, even though Cam Champ got most of the attention because he was top 10 after 2 rounds. But I think Scottie, just his college career, he went through some growth spurts, some injuries. Like, he just wasn't like crushing it in college. And so, you didn't think that necessarily that he was like, on the road for this success. He wasn't even the best player on his college team. Bo Hostler was. And that's obviously turned out differently for both of them. So I don't know. And I think like, even 2024, like he wins 4 times in 6 starts, but then he doesn't win after Augusta. And then 2023, like he only wins twice. So even there, you're like, all right, like he's picked off a major, he's picked off a players, but like outside that hot streak in the spring of 2022, like he's not like dominating. And then, I mean, it's just gone to another level because now he's one of the best putters in the world.
Well, that's what, I mean, I view him and Gotterup similarly in that they've each gotten better every single year. And that's the part where you're like, that is so impressive to me. It's easier for Gotterup because he, 3 years ago was like an average PGA Tour, but he's probably still an amateur 3 years ago. But it gets harder for Scottie or somebody like Matt Fitzpatrick is like this. I wrote about this in the newsletter this week. Every single year, if you look at his numbers, it's like just a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And to me, that's so impressive. And it's crazy that Scottie, to me, is not to me. It's crazy to me that Scottie is still finding ways to get a little bit better, even at the level that he's at.
And I think that's through developing new shots and then just refining the ones he does have. Like him and Randy Smith aren't like reinventing his golf swing. They're not, they'll make tweaks when things get off, but I think they have a baseline, they have a form that works. Like he's not making swing changes.
Yeah.
He's making changes if things get off kilter, but he's not making swing changes. And like Chris Gotterup, not making swing changes. He's refining things, but he's not making swing changes. But the thing I love with Chris is like I tweeted that thing like, he had a 74 scoring average his freshman year at Rutgers, and now he's number 5 in the world. And like people are like, oh, you make the 74 scoring average sound bad, like, which I'm sure were former college golfers that had 75 scoring averages or whatever. But like, who would have thought a guy on the Rutgers team that had a 74 scoring average would be the number 5 player in the world? Like one
totally.
Day.
Yeah.
And from like, not to knock New Jersey, like I don't want to, get on their bad side, but like number 5 players in the world don't come from New Jersey. Like there's not Jim McGovern's like your best case scenario. I think Scottie, Ridgewood, him and Byron Nelson, 2 great gentlemen, both have Ridgewood connections. And so I don't know. Gotterup's got I think he's got some good stuff up in his dome, up in his head that have helped him have the success.
Well, that was one of my questions for you. So he won the Haskins in 2022. A lot of guys won the Haskins, not all
just
of them.
Just one a year.
Well, but a lot of guys have won the Haskins who have not gone on to have the early career that that Gotterup has had. What do you think he has figured out fairly early on? Like, what's the one thing that you point to that you're like, man, he's just like nailing that? Is it humility? I mean, that was sort of what your tweet implied, was like, hey, he's figured out how to be humble and get better within the context of professional golf, which is very, very difficult to do.
I think he's comfortable with what he's not. Like, I think he's comfortable with what he's lacking. Like, you know, say like he did that, I viewed myself as a work in progress, and I still do. Like, on one level, like, he's obviously extremely confident. Like, it comes across in the way he plays, especially in contention. I mean, like, you know, he played with Rory for the first time at the Scottish Open, dusted him by 2 to win the tournament, played with Scottie for the first time at Phoenix, beat him by 10 shots in the first round, went on to win the tournament. Like, obviously high level of confidence. But I think also isn't threatened by what he lacks. So, like, and I think that's what that comment said. And maybe I should have saved this for Twitter and made it a long tweet, but I just thought of it now, of like, it's one thing to know what you're missing, like as an athlete or even as a person, or any walk of life. And you can be threatened by that. And like, that can, you know, cause anxiety, and you almost want to like look away from your weaknesses, or like you can be comfortable with it. You can like, there's a way to be confident and also admit your weaknesses, which I feel like Chris is embodying. Like, he has confidence in his skills. It's gotten him this far.
Yeah.
But then when him and his coach sit down in the offseason and say like, hey, you're not very good at this and this, he's like, all right, well, let's fix it. Versus, I think the very human reaction, you know, our brains are really averse to like uncomfortable things. The human reaction is to avoid it. Like, I don't, like, you don't want to admit what you're not good at, right?
Yeah.
Like, but Chris does that well of riding that balance, I think. And so he has the confidence to excel, and then he has the humility to get better.
Yeah. It's a great combo. He's also part of this. This is one of the other questions I had for you. He's part of this group. So if you look at the top 20 in the OWGR right now, the Crooked OWGR,
I still cite it all the time.
it is, well, it's historically, like, I mean, Data Golf is probably more accurate, but the OWGR has been around for 40 years now. So it's like just a more meaningful thing. What was I going to say? The top 20 is filled with guys who are not, I don't think there's anybody in the top 20 that's under 25. I think Gotterup and Ludwig are the only 26-year-olds. I went through it real quickly. Morikawa's in there. He's like 29. Hovland's like 28. That's interesting because I feel like I don't feel like we are just coming off an era where you had Spieth and Rory, and you know, when Morikawa and Hovland were that age, like 23, 22, they were kind of up in that top 10, top 20 in the world. Why have we swung back to like kind of an older, like top 10, top 20 in the world?
Yeah, so I think that I think whenever there's like technological advantage or technological progression, like the early adopters are younger people. Like, they have the time to learn whatever it is. They're not set in their ways and in their careers where they have to like relearn the skills that got them to where they are. Like, they're being molded, right? And so they're spending time learning. And so when a new technology comes around, like, it's the young people who adopt it and learn it first, because literally they're at the stage where they're learning stuff. So they can devote 40, 50, 60, whatever hours a week to learning that thing, versus like, man, now I'm 40, I've got a job, I've got kids, now I got to learn like AI on the side. What am I going to do? I guess like do the Andrew Ross Sorkin routine. But so I think, you know, we saw that first, and I want to say it was Andy Johnson, the Friday, who's talked about it. Like, you had that generation that really came out of like the 07 Walker Cup, where they had grown up with titanium, and the players
it's like Ricky,
yeah,
like that DJ, all
Rory,
those guys.
Webb, Billy, Horschel. They had grown up with titanium their whole lives. It's all they had known. So their games have been built around titanium drivers, which you swing differently. You grow up swinging harder at them because they're more forgiving, versus the guys older than them had grown up with, let's say, the smaller steel-headed drivers. Now titanium comes out. They've got to relearn things to take advantage of this new technology. Well, I think like the next step after that was like the adoption of TrackMan, strokes gained. So with TrackMan, strokes gained, TrackMan especially, you learned how to like launch the ball efficiently, and you could measure it immediately. I remember I was talking to Webb Simpson about that class of 2019, like Matthew Wolff, Victor Hovland, Colin Morikawa, these guys that had immediate success. And he was like, even like getting new golf clubs and like getting fit with adjustable hosels and stuff and TrackMan was so much easier because like you can sit on the range, you unscrew the head, you put a new shaft on, you change the settings on the driver, you hit a few, you watch on TrackMan, and you know within like 5 swings if that's right or not. And like Webb was like, in my day, like you go to the Titleist truck, you grab 5 versions of the newest driver off the rack, you hit a few, you're like, all right, I think this is the one that's the best. And who knows what other options are out there. And so it's kind of a guessing game. Whereas now, like, you immediately have like an optimized, perfect drive in your hands after, a brief fitting session of like an hour. There's no more guessing. So you take the TrackMan, you take Stroh's Gain, which changed how people play golf. Like, no more, like, let's not hit 3-wood off the tee or 2-iron, like, just bomb and gouge it, basically. And off of that came Scott Fawcett, who loves Scott. Like, he's a friend of mine. I saw him at the PGA show. Like, obviously has done some things on Twitter that, has turned some people off. But I do think, like, his system really changed the way people think about course management. You had all that stuff changing. And the players that you're seeing the OWGR now, like those older players, are the guys that were that young generation who that was around from the time they were in like junior golf, let's say, or amateur golf. And so they really learned and took to heart that stuff, TrackMan, Stroh's Gain, etc. And so now they are growing up. It's an equal playing field, I would say, with the younger players coming out now. And so the older players have, like, it's an equal playing field of like both players have had that all their lives. Like, they're not facing they didn't have to change like midstream. Harris English, probably as long as he's been an amateur, has been around a TrackMan, at least when he got to Georgia. Yeah. Keegan Bradley, same thing, those guys. And so I think that's the thing of like the playing field's equal, so now the experience matters. Also, like, with technology, nutrition, working out, etc., like everything, it's easier to keep your ball speed up probably for a long time. And so there is a max where like a certain level of ball speed is just inefficient for playing pro golf. Like, I think for a while there we were like, go, 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 get as high as possible, get as high as possible. But at a certain point, there's diminishing returns. I think Nico Doris has done some work on this. Like Rory, we saw it with him at the Players in 2021, where he was trying to chase down Bryson and get to like 190, and he realized like, man, I've lost my game trying to do this. Like, so we know you don't need to have like full on 190 ball speed to be elite. And I think you can maintain 175 or so into your 30s, late 30s. So I think all those reasons are why these guys are staying competitive, because there hasn't been that technological shift yet where they would have to change midstream to keep up with the kids. And then also I just think too that NIL and PGA Tour U guys are staying in college longer. So more guys are turning pro 22. And then honestly, COVID too, the 5th year, like you saw with Gotterup, he went to Oklahoma for a 5th year. Neil Shipley went to Ohio State for his 4th and 5th years. COVID year, NIL, PGA Tour U guys are staying in college longer, so they're turning pro later. So you don't have a ton of guys who are like turning pro at 20 and winning right away.
Well, it is interesting because you've got, like, I think about Dunlap and Clanton and guys that are coming out on tour, and they have very uneven starts to their professional career, which is like historically like what happens, right? Like, that's not abnormal at all. But we had this weird, probably when I first started covering golf, of like this weird run of, Rory was 20, Spieth was 19, and then into the Morikawa, Hovland, like that whole group of just like, man, they're so good at such a young age, and we're just, I don't know. I'm interested to see if there is a technological shift over the next 5 or 10 years that, like, flips the pendulum back to the 18, 19, 20-year-old.
AI, just optimized by AI.
I would love to see someone do a deep dive into this like technological shift, a bit like the Ian Fillmore podcast with Andy Johnson, where he was talking about the effects of tennis and how that also stretched over like 2 to 4 generations. It would be fascinating to see like where the success of the players, like you're just saying, Rory or Spieth, falls in that timeline with the advances.
Yeah, I think being 43 now, like I see how hard it is to like adopt a complete technological change, like at this point in your life, or even 35. Once you have like kids, basically, like once you have a job and kids, it's really hard to adopt technological change.
Like, what's an example for you?
Like right now, like having shifted over to like more like, I don't want to call it filmmaking. That sounds very pretentious, but like being involved on the video side, let's say, like, and wanting to learn, not only like the art of filmmaking, but also like technical side of cameras and frame rates and how to decide like what to use and, you know, what lenses to use and all this stuff and how to set it up and how to light it and all this like technical side of making videos. Like it's hard to find the time to like do the work to study it. Whereas if like I was in college and it was like, man, the video is the future. I'm going to get a degree in like, documentary filmmaking. Like then I have the luxury of spending 50 hours a week learning it. So like
just naturally, it's native. It's not like you don't have to go out of your way.
Yeah, I mean you're in college. You're literally like you're there to learn. So you can spend all your time learning. I'm trying to like learn on the side while balance a job and kids and all the other stuff.
Yeah, I've noticed this also. Like I remember growing up, and you would be on AOL Instant Messenger playing Xbox.
Pulitzer in the Bag was my screen name.
Pulitzer in the Bag?
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that. Mine was if we're I guess we're sharing this. I guess I have to share. KP23 baseball.
Love it. Jason?
Mine is Monkey 050590.
Wow. Pulitzer
going with the classic birthday.
I mean, it was tongue in cheek.
It is insane. But I remember thinking like, how do my parents not like if one of my, I don't think they ever did this, but if they would have sat down to play Xbox with me, or I remember my grandma used to play Super Nintendo with me, which was hilarious.
Jason, can you make a drawing of that for the next newsletter?
I'm on it. I'm working on it right now.
Thank you.
We would play Family Feud on Super Nintendo, which was great, but they're so bad at it.
Sure.
Well, as an adult now with kids, I'm like, oh, I'm on the other, like, this is how they are viewing me. And it's also true. And I don't really know why. I'll play video games with them and I'm like so bad and they're so good. And it doesn't make sense. Like I'm the same person.
Yeah. But I think in the video game world, you're like between release patterns. Like you grew up with like the Sega Genesis controller, right? So your brain knows like the positioning of the like Sega Genesis controller, and you know, like up, down, left, right, like, you know, A, B, whatever it was.
Konami code. There you go.
That was Contra.
Yeah, Contra. We got a ping pong table for Christmas, and like I'll if I play 10 times, I'll get like this much better. Mm-hmm. And if my kids play 10 times, they'll get like this much better.
I mean, their brain's so much more elastic than yours. Yeah, they're learning.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's so much of, I think, what you're referencing.
But have you tried creatine?
No.
Creatine will help.
If we get a sponsor.
Let's get a creatine sponsor here.
What were you going to say about Twitter?
Oh, so like Twitter, right? Came around in like 2009. Probably hit its, you know, stride with golf in like 2015, 2016. All of us were like in our late 20s, early 30s. And so we were like, this is awesome. Let's all hop on Twitter, like take advantage of this new technology. Golf Twitter was kind of formed. There was obviously a culture war that I think has been written about a lot and talked about a lot, of like the new golf Twitter media versus like the older school media who, you know, they had done things a certain way and they stayed doing things a certain way. And then golf Twitter media came along, and now like obviously as things progress, like now, I mean, gosh, now as golf Twitter, like we're kind of the olds, and like, I don't know, golf talk, you know, whatever. There's probably some golf. I mean, honestly, like golf Twitter is kind of the old thing, and now like creators are coming around, and like golf Twitter is probably being supplanted by the creators. And so it just kind of happens that way. And
yeah, I think it's an interesting point. Like I always thought new people would come along on golf Twitter or golf social, but it's like not even the same platform, in the same way that Twitter wasn't the same platform as the generation before us.
It'll be the same 10 of us just still doing it when we're like 65 and
just banging out tweets from the Washington Red Starbucks.
Not anymore. I mean, hopefully next year we'll see, but not right now.
Well, but Yeah, when it's 65.
I've debated coming up for like a day and just filing one from there just for old time's sake.
That would be
Nothing's stopping you from just going and hanging out at the Starbucks.
Any Starbucks or that specific one?
That specific one.
I mean, the $500, $600 a night hotels is kind of the barrier to entry right now.
Okay, Jason, wanted to give a quick shout out to Holderness and Bourne for sponsoring today's podcast. We're about to put in a pro shop order for normalsport.com and put Norman, our little logo, our little sheep. Somebody called it a ram the other day. I was like, it's not a ram, it's a sheep. Put him on everything we can get our hands on. Everything, all the Holderness stuff for sure we can get our hands on. I'm most excited, I think, to put him on the Sullivan quarter snap. The heathered harbor color is awesome, and he would look great on there. But they have a ton of pieces in their spring collection at holdernessandboard.com that we are very excited to get Norman's face on. So look for that in our pro shop, and also you can go to holdernessandboard.com and get stocked up for the spring. This is one of the questions I had for you. One of the 5, I've asked you like 15. Who's a player that you think, I can't believe blank didn't make it about, like, who do you think that about the most often?
I'm going to preface this by saying, like, I don't want to start a controversy. I don't want to start, like, hopefully this clip isn't the one you guys use for social media that then everyone can comment on. But I think the answer is Matthew Wolff. Like, I think no matter what you think of either tour, I mean, even his success on Live or lack thereof, I think would be implied as not making it. But like his 2019 collegiate season was, I mean, it's one of the best of all time. Like, it was insane. Like, he won, I think, like 6 or 7 times. He won NCAAs by 6. I think it was 6. He like was dusting fields, shooting tons of 65s. Like, I remember I'd do these tweets where it was like Matthew Wolff's last 10 rounds, and it's like 65, 66, 64, 65. And like they would just explode on Twitter, A, because he was huge on social media because of his tie with George Gankas, and then B, because it was like just stupid and insane. And then, he wins in his 3rd pro start, finishes 2nd at the US Open, 4th at the PGA in 2020. And like, I think it shows, going back to like Dunlap, and I think the transition to pro golf, like there's more to it than just like hitting the shots. Like, pro golf's a weird lifestyle. It's very lonely and isolating. And I think that got to him, based on the stories Ryan Lavner wrote about it. Like, he came along, it was COVID, you're alone in your hotel room. Gathering together is frowned upon. You're not going to dinner with people. And that was a guy who just really struggled with that. But I mean, his college stuff was, and then even his early pro success was like insane. I think he was up to like 11th in the world at the age of 21. Like, I mean, it was stupid.
He won the Haskins Award in 2019.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was, I mean, honestly,
a lot of people win the Haskins Award.
An all-time best, just one year, all-time best college season, really. And like, I mean, it was him, Tiger, and Crenshaw were the only players to win a PGA Tour event and the NCAA championship in the same year.
Yeah, I mean, two things on him. One, I would add to all of the numbers and accolades and all that, like, he was an electric personality. And so, I was around him a little bit, like through some Oklahoma State stuff and NCAAs and in Stillwater. You and I were both there. We stayed at my parents' house, that was a long time ago. But you're around him and you're like, holy smokes, like, this guy's going to be like, he's going to make $500 million as a golfer, as an endorser, like all, and maybe he has on Live, I don't know. But it was so obvious to me. Like, he was so obviously going to be a super duper mega star.
He was a
like
dude
in sports.
He could handle pressure. He was a dude.
Yes, all of it. And it hasn't gone that way. I think what's so, like, I guess funny, he has more. So I'm big on Data Golf's expected wins at majors. Like, what was your strokes gain compared to the rest of the field, and expected wins, like, based off of that. He has more expected wins, or he has a higher number of expected wins at majors than Justin Thomas over the course of his career. Now, they all came in 1 week. He was expected to win like based on his score at the US Open in 2020 at Winged Foot, it was like 0.6 expected wins or something like that. And obviously he got beat by Bryson by like 6 strokes because Bryson was like expected wins of 1.0 because he beat the field by 1 million. But JT has never put up, over the course of his career, he doesn't have numbers like that. So it was not just to sort of corroborate your story. It was not just the amateur stuff. It was like the first year or two of him being a pro is like, this is translating. He was the guy that we don't have right now, like the 21, 22-year-old that was electric and winning and like competing. And yeah, he's certainly up there. I thought you were going to say Pablo Martin, by the way.
Man, I mean, he definitely won on the European Tour as an amateur. He was a guy. I don't know what happened there. I think sometimes, like we often focus on like, well, what went wrong? But I think too, there is a little bit of like, and you see maybe it less because they do play like such good courses, and guys say like, hey, the courses I played in college were harder than the courses I play in pro golf, in part because like some really elite courses are willing to host like an amateur event because it's a smaller footprint than a pro event, and also just because
like a Merida.
Totally, yeah. I haven't played that place. I've heard it's impossible, but yeah,
it's not even fun.
But
it's
I think
so hard
too. Like sometimes, like college golf is a little bit different than pro golf, and like different skills are probably rewarded in college golf than pro golf. And some guys just kind of dominate, like, and they just maybe they're like something that they were lacking. It wasn't penalized as much in college golf or as much of a disadvantage. But then you go to pro golf, and that maybe gets exposed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted, like Patrick Rogers and Maverick McNeely, like have had successful careers by a lot of measures. Patrick Rogers has been on tour for like 11 years. He's also never won. Maverick McNeely's won once. He cracked the top 10 in the world. That's a successful career. That's above average. But like both those guys won like 11, 12 times at Stanford. And I think we're quick to go like, man, what went wrong for Patrick Rogers and Maverick McNeely? Like maybe nothing went wrong per se as like they took this big downturn after they turn pro. It just might be that like needed different skills for pro golf. And also like, we think that like progression in golf, like this linear, like rocket ship of like, oh, you're just going to keep going up. Obviously, like some guys might play the best golf of their life, like when they're 21, 22.
I mean, Spieth did, but he just did it as a pro.
Oh yeah. Always harkens back to the glory days of 2015.
For sure. Okay. One question, this is my last question for you, and then I want to do a little major competition here, but I think you do a great job of being comprehensive about guys' careers. And I think one thing we've done collectively a bad job of, especially in recent years, is reducing a guy's career resume to how many majors did he win? How many majors did he win? How many majors did he win? And I was thinking about this in light of what Brandel said about the players being a major, like all this, whatever. We don't need to get into all that, but I'm curious about like, I think it seems like you've covered golf a lot longer than I have, and certainly longer than Jason has. It seems like we used to do a better job of saying, hey, this guy, he won 2 majors, but he also won this event in Spain and this event in South Africa. Like, why have we just gotten so reductive when we compare players to only talk about the major championships?
I think we've done a better job of doing the opposite. Because I think like, when, no offense to Sean McKeel, but like, I think it used to be like, man, Sean McKeel's got a major, player X doesn't, even though he's the 5th ranked player in the world. And I think we've realized that like, one major does not make a summer, or, what is it? One swallow does not make a summer. One major does not make a career. Mm-hmm. I think we've gotten better about doing that. I think also as like the golf world has become like maybe more interconnected, it's easier to like kind of rate players. Like, Jumbo Ozaki dominating fields in Japan. Like you'd only see him in America like at majors. His major record wasn't good, and so you're kind of like left guessing like, well, how good is Jumbo Ozaki? I mean, maybe not a lot of people are guessing that. I've wondered that in my life. But like versus now we have Hideki, where like Hideki's played his almost entire career in the United States, and you're like, Hideki's a top 10 player in the world.
Well, Hideki is who I was thinking of. He's won a so just to go over his he's not even 34 yet. Masters, bronze medal, Riviera, 2 WGCs, 2 Phoenix Opens, should have been 3, 6 President's Cups, 22 wins worldwide.
Big Chairgate guy.
The reason I said it should have been 3, I had this tweet typed out and was ready to hit send, and then he bogeyed 18. So I was annoyed that I didn't get to send it. 22 wins worldwide and 6 top 5s at majors. And yet it seems like I'm like, okay, Hideki or Adam Scott, it's like, well, they both won a Masters. And it's like, well, yeah, but like that's 1/10 of the story. Like we just, and maybe this is, I don't know why this is, I don't know. Maybe people just have, maybe there's too much content, too many tournaments,
maybe
too
you're
much
hanging out in
going
the wrong
on.
corners of X. I don't know.
You think we do a good job of being comprehensive about guys' careers?
I think we do a better job now. Like, I think, there's a lot of talk of like Justin Rose versus Adam Scott, right? And like, I think, which A, I don't think you'd have to pick one, and B, I think they both have like honestly equally good careers, just in slightly different ways. But like, I think we do a better job now. We're smarter about like going back to like Strauss Gain, like not saying like, hey, let's give the guy, the Varden Trophy should be Strauss Gain total now, but like, I think we're able to look at. I think we ever since Strauss Gain came along, or at least became relatively easily adopted, like there was more emphasis on consistency and like rewarding that and looking at that positively. Like Rory's 2019 season, I think he won 3 times, won the FedEx Cup, didn't win a major, came close a couple times, I think. But he finishes it, he's like, man, like I was at plus 2.5 Strauss Gain per round for the year. I really wanted to get to 3. 3 is Tiger territory. 10 years ago, people have been like, bro, you won 3 times, not a major. What a crappy season. And now it's like, man, plus 2.5 Strauss Gain, like 14 top 10s in 17 starts. Like, that's really good golf. And that's a admirable season. And we're going to make you player of the year over, Brooks, who I think won a major and finished in the top 5 in all of them, but was otherwise inconsistent. Like you're seeing more guys win PGA Tour Player of the Year for consistent seasons over guys who might have a couple more wins. Like you've seen it with Scottie in 2023 when he won over Rahm. Like he had, he only won twice. Rahm won 4 times, including a Masters, but Scottie had like, again, top 10s in like 90% of his starts, and he was rewarded for that with Player of the Year. So I think we reward consistency a lot more than we used to, where it was like, yeah, what majors did you win? Like, oh, none? Okay, I don't care about your year then.
Yeah, maybe that's more of a normal golf fan. Maybe I'm viewing the normal golf fan doing. Are we in too deep here, Jason? Like, how do you what's your take on this? How do you view this?
I don't think we're in too deep. I mean, I think from like a superficial, the first thing people look at or think about are the majors. But I think that also kind of breaks the tournaments down into different tiers, which also that hierarchy, I think it also makes difficult to kind of assess how these careers compare to each other when there's so much ambiguity between those different events. But
yeah, I guess I just think about my like sort of like friends that are like sort of fans of golf and like watch the Masters and whatever. Like they don't care that Justin Rose has won, Pebble and.
I mean, you shouldn't hang out with those people. I don't know,
I mean, I think one of the major reasons for that is a lot of people only tune into the majors. So for them, that is 90% of what professional golf is. So
there is a TV effect. I was talking about like amateur golf of like the guys who were like viewed as the dudes in amateur golf were the guys who got on TV. Because of either like they played in the U.S. Amateur Final or they contended at Masters, let's say, or they had a TV like. You only had like one amateur per class that had like a TV moment. And so like everybody knew that guy because of his TV moment. Like even if he wasn't the best player in college golf, like this might be too deep, but like I bet way more people could name Niall Shields Donegan because of like the US Amateur last year than could name the number 4 amateur in the world. And Niall's like number 45. He's a good player, he's a Walker Cup player, but like TV matters. And so, or if they do something like the NCAA is on Golf Channel, because I think a lot of people do tune into that because the match play is such good drama. So I agree with Jason on that part. I didn't realize we were talking about like ignorant golf fans. I was talking about like real golf fans, like ball knowers.
Well, I mean, like, it's funny. I followed the Australian Open in tennis closer this year than I ever have before. And I wrote about some in the newsletter, and I realized, I was listening to Andy Roddick's podcast the other day. I've been deep into his podcast, and they were talking about like this event that's going on right after the Australian Open, which is basically their like RBC Heritage or their Travelers champion, whatever. And I'm like, oh, I like don't care at all. Like, I do not care. Like you could tell me Alcaraz won, I'd be like, I do not care. And I'm like, oh, this is how I think a lot of sports fans generally view golf, right? Is like, wake me up during the 4 majors, maybe just 3 of them. And, I don't care who won the
5 majors.
I don't care who won Bay Hill. Even though to us, it's like, which I think is, I don't know. That's kind of interesting to me is somebody who's a fan of other sports.
So when you're looking at current players, I think you're looking more well-rounded, like their strokes gain numbers, top 10s, whatever. Like, 50 years down the road, like, Scottie will tell us we're all gonna be forgotten anyways, and he's right. But like, you're only gonna look at his majors. Like, we don't know how many like top 10s Arnold Palmer had in his career. Like, we know vaguely how many majors he won. So, like, the further removed you are from that player's career, then the more the focus is only on majors, because that's what's on the back of the baseball card. That's what is on the Hall of Fame plaque.
But that's sort of my point. Is like, and this is a little bit of a who determines the majors.
I mean, our brains are only so big, and as we already established, like, they're all, as we get older, they're all becoming calcified and not growing anyways. Like, we only remember so much. Like, I can't remember like Arnold Palmer's like Bob Hope Chrysler Classic victories, but I can remember his Masters wins.
Yeah, I guess I am pushing for not devaluing majors, but just like valuing other things as well.
I think we do a better job like with present players. I think as
that's okay. That's fair.
But like,
fair.
I mean, look, when we get Neuralink, like, I'm going to tell you like Arnold Palmer's driving accuracy percentage in 1972. It's going to be sick.
Okay. Last thing, and then we'll get to the major competition. What's your hottest take that you actually kind of believe right now?
The Players is a major.
Okay. Give it to me.
I don't want to call out any single majors. I'm not going to do that here. I'm a diplomatic person. But I think that it's surpassed at least one of the majors in importance and execution that's needed in identity. I think even like Rory, when he said that the Players is not a major, he also did say that has a stronger identity than at least one of the other majors. And I think that, like, I get who won't be there. That also, like, if current trends continue, might not be an issue in a couple years, but depending on guys coming back, as we've seen with a couple players, like, at least you're going to have fewer and fewer heavy hitters not there, I would say, over the years. And, like, I don't know, I go, like, yes, having, let's say, 2 or 3 players there is a big deal, and it hurts it. But, like, also, like, we had this debate back in 2008 when Padraig won 2 majors and Tiger was out for both of them because of knee surgery. People are like, oh, do these majors count as much for Padraig because Tiger's not there? And I think Padraig was like, yo, I've lifted the trophy. I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, it's not just one player who I'm beating.
Yeah. Well, also, like, some of those guys are about to not be eligible for the U.S. Open or the PGA Championship.
Right.
Like,
and then what?
Yeah. Or they have or are going to have to amend some of the rules to get, or the qualifications to get them in. So
now, the thing is, like, the solution I don't have is I don't know what to do with, like, history books, record books. So at the very least, I think it should be like, when you're talking about win totals, like, mention in the same breath, like, hey, Scottie has, does he have 4 majors now? So, like, Scottie has 4 majors. He has 6 majors in players. Like, make that a column on the resume, majors plus players or something, because I think it matters. Now, like, do we give Jack 3 more majors, Tiger 2 more majors? Like, I don't know. Like, it is tough. I don't like retroactively assigning majors. I feel like you have to feel like it's a major when you win it. But I've also said, like, honestly, the quickest way to make the Players a major is to just take the media guide and just lump them all together, and people on deadline writing their stories or banging out their tweets will get tired of trying to do the math and, like, trying to figure out how many players he won and got to subtract it and whatever, and they'll just put whatever numbers in the media guide. And so that's the easiest and quickest way to do it.
Yeah, I think the thing that I wrote in the newsletter, and Jason left it in there, so maybe he agreed, maybe he didn't, but if you were determining if there were no majors and you polled, because this is how we did it back in the day, you just polled the writers and figured it, like, voted on it. I think the Players would be one of the 4 biggest events.
I mean, like, we made the the Grand Slam was made like because Arnold Palmer and Bob Drum, who was the Pittsburgh golf writer, were like smoking cigarettes in the back of an airplane and like, hey, it'd be kind of cool to call this a Grand Slam. Like, let's do it. And like, let's not act like there was like this like board somewhere that, declared from on high, like these are the 4 majors.
Well, this is a little bit connected to my previous point of like, we have to consider the comprehensive nature of these guys' careers, right? Like how much different does it make you view Ricky Fowler's career if like, depending on how you view the Players Championship? Right? Like I have Oklahoma State friends that are like, what's Fowler's career sucked. And it's like, I mean, maybe compared to like the hype that he got, but also like he won 7 times and won a Players like that's a pretty freaking good career.
Yeah. I also think the Players is held in higher regard now than when the 5th major talk was like really frothing in like the late 90s, early 2000s. Like I think it's held in a higher regard now. I do think like,
well, it's older. It's older now. It was very young. It was very new back then. And I think I saw a take, maybe it was Eamon Lynch, about like, you need to take it and like move it around, go to different.
Eamon had a take.
I think I shouldn't say that it was him. I think it was, but you need to take it and move it around, make it global, all this stuff. And it's like, one of my favorite things about TPC Sawgrass and about the Players Championship is that there is a familiarity. I know when somebody steps up to a second shot on 11, what's at stake. I know the pins on 3. I know like all these different things. It's a little Masters-like in that sense of like, there's at least for me covering it for, the last 12 or 13 years, there's a familiarity to the rhythm of the event and of the rounds. And every shot feels from Thursday. I go back to Thursday when, remember when Hovland had that big like hullabaloo about like where the ball crossed the line on 11 or 12, and it was on PGA Tour Live, and it was like this whole thing. Every shot of the tournament feels meaningful, and to me, that is we can call it whatever we want, but it's one of the 3 or 4 most like tournaments that feels like the biggest deal.
I also just wonder, like, why couldn't you just put it in the same standing as like an Olympic gold medal? I mean, now we see guys who won the Olympics as like, oh, that was a crowning achievement for them, and it's just another column on their Wikipedia page. So I don't see why it couldn't exist in that same sort of territory.
It's a great point. The Olympics is easier to win than the Hero World Challenge.
I see what you're saying with like field strength. I think you're feeling it a little more on Sunday of the Olympics than Sunday at Albany.
Yeah, for sure. I think we, and I agree with Jason. Like and what I'm saying is, don't put the Players and the Olympics in the same category. I think the Players is more like a more meaningful thing in the golf world. But I like the idea of like,
you're putting the Olympics in the same class as the Hero. That's a take.
Yeah, no, that might be my hottest take that I actually kind of believe. But I think we do a good job, Jason, of like mentioning these medals alongside major championships, not making them majors, but not making them just a regular thing. It's like he won 3 majors and a silver medal or whatever. And
that's part of the breadth of like what made Scottie's 2024 like so incredible, was like the breadth of tournaments he won. Of like, I mean, yeah, someone's going to come along and win 7 times. Again at some point, but like it was 7 times with a major, like with an Olympic gold medal. So like it's probably never going to happen again. So you only get a chance that once every 4 years, and he won the Hero. So you take that and like, I mean, it's a combination of titles we're never going to see again.
It's like 2 gold medals.
Right.
It's true. Basically. Are you guys into the Winter Olympics? Quad God?
My wife loves them. She's a big Olympics person. I at my age, this sounds really crotchety. Like I have trouble watching sports, but I don't have a dog in the fight. So I'll watch 100 Dodgers games a year. Like I don't watch much other sports. I watch some Cal Poly basketball too. But
sure, Jason.
I'm watching the speed skating as a Dutchie. I gotta keep up on that. It's our national sport.
Speed skating is insane. I didn't realize Jake Paul was like engaged to the.
Yeah, I think they gotta stop putting his name before her name and everything. They're like, Jake Paul's girlfriend won a gold medal. It's like, okay.
They showed him on the screen. I was like, what's he doing?
My wife was an au pair in the Netherlands. So that might be part of her Winter Olympics love.
Wow. Okay. Last thing we're gonna do. Did this game Sean, with Luke Herdanine. I'm going to give you the top 10 at a major championship years gone by, like an old major championship.
Any major ever? Or is there like a window here?
We'll say in the last 25 years. And I'm going to give you the top 10 starting from the bottom. So starting with like the T10s, and we're going to go up, and you see how quickly you can guess which major championship it was.
Okay. Is there a penalty if I get it wrong, or can I just start shouting things?
No, just shout.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. First one. I'll read it for people who are just listening.
1999 PGA Championship.
So the first.
Is that not right?
No, it's not.
No, sorry, 2006 PGA.
The first player we have named here is Jay Haas.
Father of Bill.
Ernie Els.
Go. Yeah, let's go.
Chris DeMarco.
I feel like keep going.
Stephen Ames.
Oof. It's not the 2006 PGA?
No.
Or sorry, the 99 PGA? All right.
Steve Flesh.
It's a Masters. 2011 Masters?
No.
2009 Masters?
No.
2010 Masters?
No.
All right.
Robert Allenby.
2003 Masters?
It is not. I got to double check this actually.
This is a great TV.
Yeah, it is for sure.
All right. Do you know what tournament it is?
Yes,
Okay.
I do.
All right, let's keep going.
Fred Funk.
At what point? Like, I feel like Luke had already gotten it by now.
Yeah, he had.
Gosh.
Mike Weir. Shigeki Maruyama.
2001 U.S. Open.
No.
All right.
Jeff Maggart finished third.
Oh gosh. Oh.
Phil Mickelson finished second.
2001 Masters.
No.
2006 U.S. Open. No, I don't know. 2004 U.S. Open.
Retief Goosen won it. Okay. I thought you would get that one quicker.
I mean, that's a crazy leaderboard. When did Luke get it?
No, he did. We did different ones with him. Okay. So
when I see some of these names, I start thinking that they're senior majors events. Like, I start doubting.
Well, you
like,
gotta
wait
remember,
a second.
like
I mean, these are insane leaderboards.
the window is the last.
I love this game.
Is the last 25 years. What do you mean these are insane leaderboards? Like what?
I mean, the names are. I mean, the breadth of names.
Okay, next one. Kirk Triplett.
2001
T10.
Masters.
Vijay Singh.
No. Okay.
T10. Nick Price. Davis Love the third. Oh, what was your guess?
2001 Masters.
Yeah, that's correct.
Kirk Triplett did not have a lot of top 10. No, that's not 2001. That's 2004.
It is 2004. I screwed that up.
It could have been the 2019 U.S. Senior Open where Kirk Triplett also finished at T10.
The C's
was
helped.
that T6?
Because I knew once I saw VJ's C I mean, obviously it's only one of two majors, but I don't know if I would have gotten it before that. All right.
Yeah, that was my bad.
Suck at this game.
Kirk Triplett finished T6 at the 2001 Masters also.
Did he really? All right, that's bonus. I need some points there.
Yeah, I was confused. So that was my fault. Okay, last one. Let's see here.
Do you play this game with your Oklahoma State friends?
No.
Kyle plays it with his kids and just dominates. When he loses in video games, he plays this game.
Peter O'Malley. Scott Hoke. Soren Hansen.
2010 Masters? No, that was Soren Kjeldsen, I think, that excelled at the
Yeah.
2010 Masters.
Yeah, I think it was. Retief. Sergio. Thomas Bjorn.
2003 Open Championship.
No. Shigeki again. Shigeki Maruyama.
2000.
Padraig T5.
This is like an open. This feels like an Open Championship. Oh, this is definitely an Open Championship. 2001 Open.
Gary Evans.
No, hold on. 2000.
Steve
1999
Elkington.
Open. No. This is the playoff. It's a 2000,
Stuart Appleby.
2004 Open Championship.
No, you guessed every Open except this one. Thomas LeVay.
No, I know. It was a. It's not 2004.
No.
Oh wait, Ernie wins it in a. Yeah, it's.
Ernie Els.
Gosh, it's 2002 Muirfield.
2002 Open Championship.
So close.
You guessed 2001, 2003, and 2004.
And also confusing because Soren Hansen finished T8 in the 2009 Open as well. So
Oh.
you had those covered.
There you
Links mess.
go. Okay.
The more you know.
That's all I got. What you got? Anything, Jason?
No, I love that game. I'm always blown away at what you guys pull out of your butt. It's just it's amazing. Because I do not have that skill. It's just
Also, I do like going back to kind of your take on like what we rate players by, and like we rate them by top 10s and majors. I'm like, man, there's been some randos that have top 10s and majors. Like that's not an end all be all stat.
Yeah, but you can't. Yes, like if you have one top 10 at a major for sure, or 3, but it's hard to fake like 25 top 10s at majors.
Sure. Well, that's why we don't talk about Gary Evans anymore.
That's a meaningful thing. Okay, that's all we got. Sean Martin, thanks for coming on. You got anything big coming up other than Players Championship?
We are working on an April network special on Tiger Woods' career in his own words. So it's all like 30 years of our sit downs with Tiger. And like he's talking about different themes in his career and then also like reliving big moments and big wins. There's some stories in there that like I hadn't heard before, and I feel like I've heard a lot of them. I like to think that's a high bar to cross or a high threshold. And then also like just seeing Tiger's mannerisms over the years, like you forget like it's just young Tiger is kind of something else. Like he's really cheesy. There's one interview from the President's Cup when he had like the leopard spotted hair. That's in there for a bit.
That was insane. I think, was that the President's Cup in South Africa?
I think it was 2005. We should do majors by Tiger's hairstyle. But also, if your name's Tiger, why are you doing leopard spots? Like, why aren't you doing like tiger stripes?
For sure. Charles Howell told me a story one time about Tiger. Like, I think they were in South Africa for the President's Cup, maybe. And Tiger was like swimming in the ocean, like with sharks. And Charles Howell's like, he's going to get eaten. Like, this is insane. Like, what are we doing? It was nuts.
Then he punched the shark in the nose.
Did he?
No, I don't think so. It just sounds like a very tight, like he was.
That was Greg Norman. I thought that was.
No, I've heard Kyle tell me this story before.
It was nuts. Like Charles Howell couldn't believe it. I can't believe it.
The inspiration kind of came from my manager of like, I don't know if y'all remember the June 17th, 1994 30 for 30 on that day where the OJ chase happened, the NBA finals happened, Arnie's final US Open round happened. Like if you remember, there's no extra sit downs for that show. It's all like footage from that day and then like behind the scenes that was captured. So like it's only like stuff that was captured that day. And so it's kind of like that of like, it's only previous sit downs with Tiger. And it's cool because like in some things you see how his answer stays exactly the same over 30 years, and then others you see how they've changed. Like you have parts where like he finishes his own sentence in different years because he's saying the exact same thing. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, that'll be awesome. Excited for that. Always enjoy talking to you. Thanks for coming on. And we'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, guys.